August 2nd comes. This is a day where I get my class schedule, my locker combination, and getting to know where all my classes are and which part of the school and which building should be at. So I get up early at 7 a.m. I go ahead and get ready and all that. For curiosity, for no reason, I go ahead and check my school emails. For whatever reason, it turns out I actually had to register myself prior to August 2nd. So I go over and tell my dad, hey, I'm a little concerned about this email. He was already ready to go and at least drop me off at the school and at least get myself registered. And he realized that I ended up freaking up. So I had to tell him prior to advance, but I didn't. So we got a little pissed off, and I guess you could say a little disappointed I didn't tell him any earlier, since I promised him that I was supposed to check my emails daily, and I didn't want to check them every single day. In fact, I actually got 3 reminders prior to August 2nd, so I kind of felt stupid that day. So basically, he went over, registered myself on the phone, and we were supposed to actually go over there at like 8 o'clock or 8:30, but there was only time slots for 12:45 in the afternoon. So I basically sat in my room for about like 3 or 4 hours, literally waiting for 12:45 to come. And basically, my grandpa had to go ahead and drop me off at the school. My dad had to go to work that day around that time, so he needed to ask my grandpa to drop me off. I got to the school, no problem. I go over to the auditorium like they told me to. I gave him my ID card, basically my little slip telling me I had to come here. He told me to go to the auditorium. I sat down, got my ID picture down, and my class schedule. Now I needed to know where my classes were and which buildings I should go. And as I was finding my classes, I realized something. There was something odd. One of my classes didn't have a room number in my schedule, so I was a little concerned. So prior to even like asking anyone to like where's this class at, I go ahead and just find where all my other classes are in particular. I got them all. At least I knew where all my classes were. I realized I had the same locker as last year, which was in 10th grade. I'm now 11th grade right now as we're speaking, or at least if you were looking at my older video right now, I was in 11th grade. So after I found out where all my classes were and where their buildings, I went to go ask someone to at least tell me where was this classroom number that didn't have an actual room number at all. So I went to go ask the security girl. This girl told me, "Oh, you have to go to the auditorium to ask that because I don't know where that is." So I went to the auditorium. It was very hot. I was sweating so hard because that day that when I went to go register myself, it was really hot. I was also carrying my backpack for some stupid reason. I assumed that I probably needed my backpack, so I brought it with me no matter what. So that only made it even more frustrating because I had to walk a lot before I was finally able to at least get to where I was supposed to go. I go over to the auditorium. I go ahead and ask this guy, "Hey, there's no room number for this class I'm taking. Can you tell me where it is?" He didn't tell me, but he did actually tell me that the class schedules I was given was actually a temporarily one. This is the one that's not going to be used on my actual schedule when I come in real life, when school actually starts. So they're going to give me a new one. And I thought, oh, that's fine because that one might be the actual one that probably won't have any sort of errors or anything like that. So then next week starts. August 11th is the day I was going to start 11th grade high school. For whatever reason, there's already something odd. This is a school day that starts on a Thursday. Why on earth am I starting school on Thursday rather than Monday? Every friend that I know started school, or I should say starts school on a Monday rather than Thursday. I was like the only school that was taken up that probably started school on a Thursday to begin with. Cons, you have to abruptly stop your chill week of no work, no school, and anything like that. Pros, you've only got 2 days. Thursday, Friday, bam, you're done. You're now on the weekend. Congratulations, man. And just like any other morning, I got up at 7 in the morning, went to go eat my breakfast, got ready. I went to go drive to school with my dad. My dad drops me off. School is only about 3 minutes there, so there really wasn't any sort of problems going over there whatsoever. Easy as can be. Then eventually, I was a little lost. And I already felt lost even before I came to the school on August 11th. Because the school didn't really tell me where I should go when to pick up my schedule. They said, oh, your class schedules will be distributed. They didn't tell me exactly where. They only gave me an email regarding as to, oh, this is where you should go if you have any sort of issues regarding to like changing your classes, finishing your classes, or probably fixing your classes schedules if you end up being assigned the wrong classes rather than the ones you're supposed to be taking. So me not understanding that at all, I was already pretty much lost when I got to the front gate as to, oh, where should I go? So I went over to the main office area, as that's kind of where the main office is, including the counselor's office. It's a two-floor building. The bottom floor is kind of where all the main stuff is, the nurse office, main office, counselor's office. And the second building is where your classes are going to be. I noticed when I got inside the main office, there was this long line. I assumed that this is where they were going to distribute the schedules because there were a lot of students there as well. It was a bit of a long line, and it was pretty slow. This teacher then comes out and says, "Oh, you should only be in this line if you need to change your classes, fix your classes, or finish your classes. Other than that, you need to pick up your class schedules and move on and get to your classes." That was advisory class at the time. But when I was waiting in line, I realized something. Many students actually had their class schedules with them before they were already on the line. So I kind of questioned, how do they already have the schedule if I haven't even gotten it? So I was already starting to think out of the box and probably questioning, oh, am I even in the right line? Should I even be here? Should I go somewhere else? Am I not in the right area to pick up my schedules at all? And I have to remind you, this line was going very slow. So time was running out. First period advisory was going to start. I don't know whether or not I should either go somewhere else or I should stay here and probably ask more questions. The lady said the exact same thing again as a reminder, and I thought, you know what, I might as well go somewhere else because I don't think I was in the right area to begin with at all. So I go over to the front desks as there were a couple students probably also going to ask maybe the same question. Luckily, there was a student in front of me that literally was going to ask the same question as I was going to. Where do you go to pick up your schedule? The lady in the front desk directs us outside in front of the building, and so I followed that kid. As I said, I was going to ask the exact same question, and therefore I got my schedules. There were these four tables. They were all labeled each certain grade level. I was 11th grade. I went to go pick up my schedule. I told the lady my last name. She gave me my schedule right from the table, right in front of my eyes. Literally, not even no joking, no cap. I already found an error on my schedule right as she gave me my schedule right in front of my eyes. That same classroom that didn't have a room number still didn't have a room number, which was my math class. And I questioned, how did you mess that up? I wasn't blaming the lady, since obviously she was only the person really just giving out the schedules, but I still questioned. And of course, I immediately noticed it, and I immediately told her, hey, there's no room number for this class. Do you know where it is, or do you know there's something I could do? She directs me to go to the front desk to probably ask the front lady there. I asked the front lady, she directs me to either the counselor's office or go straight to your next class, which was basically going to start 3 minutes before, or at least I say before I asked that question or after I asked that question. So I go to advisory class afterwards, just hoping that the advisory teacher will just ask me where this actual class is. So I basically wait outside of advisory class, which is basically A206. It was one floor higher than me, and I realized that this teacher wasn't coming out. I assumed that either she was, or he or she was either busy in a meeting or something, or probably she was running late. There was like 8 or maybe 9 students probably waiting outside of this classroom, which basically meant that they were going to take the same class as I was. It was basically me standing for about like 10 minutes straight, no joke, until one student eventually came over. I immediately remembered him from last year, thankfully. Maybe I was assuming he was probably going to take the same class, but no. He goes over and asks, I'm most likely an adult that probably knew where we were supposed to go. He eventually tells us that we were actually supposed to go to a different room. It was instead an H110. So there we go. There was another error in my classroom schedule. So basically, I was told to go to a classroom that wasn't even the right room number at all. All the students then followed the kid that told us where the classroom was, H110. It was a little far. I wouldn't say it was that far away from where A206 was, but still, how can you mess that up too? So we all went over to H110. The teacher was a female. She tells us that her classroom was changed to a different location, but they did not update any of the schedules regarding with that class. So basically, after class ended, I knew for a fact I was already a little bit in trouble because the next period was basically that one class that didn't have a room number, which was my math class. So I was a little worried as to probably hoping that I don't end up getting lost like a freaking random duck that doesn't know where anything is. So I go over and ask the teacher after class ended, And I told her, "Hey, do you know where this math class is, or do you know where which room number this class is?" She didn't know where it was because she told me that she wasn't given the paper as to where all the classrooms are. So she told me to go ask security. So I go over. I can't find security. There was only like 6 minutes left before class was starting. I was a little worried, and I had a fear that I was probably gonna run late. So I go back to where I originally got my schedule, since there was actually a guy there that knew me pretty well last year in 10th grade, I should say. And I told him, do you know where the room number for this class is? Because there's no room number in it. I was thankfully calmed down when he pulled up a giant sheet of paper that basically showcased where every single classroom number is. So he writes down where the classroom is on the pen, which room number. It was in E210. It wasn't that far away. It was actually pretty close. So I go over to E210. Thankfully, knowing where my class was, I was able to get there on time. No problem. I didn't have no issues at all. And the rest of the day afterwards was kind of just chill. Nothing crazy really happened. There wasn't any other problems at all afterwards. The math class teacher was pretty cool. He told us a lot about like his history about him teaching here, as well as like his life before becoming a teacher at all. Next period after was biology. That too was also fine. Although I already kind of started hating my biology teacher because the first thing we're told to do is do a group project assignment. I'm not really that type of guy who likes doing group projects because they always never end well. Not because the students like hate me or anything, but it's always that group that you're always going to be part of that one group where no one is going to talk. You're also the type of guy who doesn't want to talk at all, and you're like screwed at the end. That group project was kind of a mess. You basically was told to go ahead and basically fill out this like cheat, this like chart thing, whatever it's called, where basically one student has to sign it if they're like a certain like trait that matches up their like personality. You had to go over and talk to like 20 people because that one person can only fill up one space. So everyone was doing it. It was basically a mess right there. Everyone was going all over the place. Basically, I actually would frequently go over and tell the same student that already assigned my thing to sign it again. But it wasn't that much of a big deal at all. There wasn't like any sort of problem or anything like that. The next class comes, computer science. That was okay. I was a little disappointed I didn't have my computer science teacher from last year, 10th grade, teaching me for 11th grade, because I really respect her, and she was a really nice teacher. Probably the youngest one, too, in my entire, like, teacher list. She was like 24, 25. No problem. I think it's important to note that on that same day, I also was supposed to get my textbooks for my classes. I'm going to go back in time after I finish my math class because I forgot to say this in my recording. But basically, after math class and then nutrition started, a 10-minute like breakfast break, I go over to the freaking textbook room to get my books because that was the only time where I was going to have like time off without having to worry about going to class or anything. The line was going pretty slow. It was a short line, but it was going way too slow. And the main problem I'm having, or at least getting the books, is that there's only one guy that's basically distributing all these books. It would have been more nicer if the textbook room alone would either had like more people managing it so the line could go by faster, or better yet, you would have more textbook rooms. Couldn't it at least have two, four rooms, maybe at max? The textbook room by itself was really small. So you would assume it would be bigger. There is a library at the school, but you don't go there to get your books. You go there to read. So I go over and stay in the room for quite some time. It was going by very slowly, mainly because, of course, there was only one guy managing it. There was also those students that would get those books and still stay in line, holding up the line for about a little longer. Nutrition bell ends, and the teacher, or I should say, the man that was running the textbook room, eventually advises us to all go to class because you don't want to be late to your next period. So then he picks out the student that should be picked last before everyone else should go to school. Let's say like you basically are being told this. Basically, if he picks the furthest part, like let's say like there's four people, he basically has to pick how many students should be then chosen. Like if he picks three students, the other four, which was that one person that was left out, will have to go to class. Of course, he picks the student, literally the last student that should stay in this line, literally one student away from me. So basically, everyone else had to go to class. So I was standing there for 10 minutes, felt like a freaking hour for nothing. So now going back to modern time, which was after computer science class, which after that class, it was lunchtime. I go ahead and try the textbook room again during lunch. Thankfully, I was able to get my books since it did go on longer. The line was basically about the same length, but it still took really long because, again, there was only one guy running it. It almost felt like there was this one time in the line where literally no one moved for like 3 minutes straight because there were like these two students that were staying in line. I think it was mainly because there was this one guy who was trying to get his books, but I think the guy had a hard time trying to find the books, either because the schedule was messed up or anything like that. So I basically stood there for like 15 minutes. My legs were killing me, also because I was holding my heavy backpack. I go over, I got my books afterwards, no problem. Show him my ID card, and I got only two textbooks. Thankfully, it wasn't like 6,000, but those two textbooks were very, very, very heavy. It felt freaking. I was holding like so many freaking bags of flour all in one. But then afterwards, that was kind of it. The rest of the school day really didn't go that bad until I got to art class. Now, the art class was in Q107. Now, this building was kind of special. This one was all the way in the corner, the top right corner of the freaking campus. But of course, there was another error. Now, I only noticed that there was an error on my schedule because luckily for me, there were signs basically telling me that the class that I was about to head to, which was corresponding to my teacher's name on the class, basically said, oh, the class you're heading to isn't actually in Q107. It's instead in N108. Now, thankfully for me, N building was right next to Q building, so I didn't need to go like across the freaking campus to do so. So then I go over, I wait outside for about like 5 minutes. He was just in there, maybe talking to some teacher. He was a pretty cool guy. I really liked my 11th grade art teacher because he was a combination of being serious and him being funny as well. Whenever some student made a really small like mistake or some random joke. But other than that, the rest of the day went fine. I eventually then had an English class, and that was basically my day. My day ended with me going home after English class. But when you think of it, let's put it like this. So number one, we have a class schedule. You're given a class schedule, right? The first mistake you notice is that one of my classrooms doesn't have a room number. The room number is missing. I have to go ask someone to literally write in freaking pen telling me where the actual room number for that class is. Two of my classes were also wrong when it comes to the room number. Two of the classes had the wrong room number on them. Both of them were telling me to go to the wrong one. I was then redirected to a different room number that wasn't on it. Couldn't they have at least updated it? It's not that hard to do. And just a little, I guess you could say, dishonorable mention to add on the list. The original locker that I was given last year, I was given this year. But, however, we have to literally point out that the original combination was an old combination that actually didn't work. You're telling me that you're giving me a locker that I got last year that still has the old combination. And why I'm making this into a big deal is because thankfully for me, I actually had the same locker as last year, so I knew a different combination that actually would work. But no, they still have the old combination that doesn't work for the locker. So let's get this straight. There was 1, 2, 3, 4 errors on my goddamn freaking school schedule. Like, we live in the year 2022, and you're basically making these simple mistakes like you're living in 1964! I'm sorry for screaming so god dang loud, but if we live in a freaking time where there might be, I don't know, freaking death plague coming into play and stuff like that, and you're telling us, oh, you need to go over to this part of the city in order to get yourself vaccinated. And if they're making these simple mistakes like this in a time where you have so much advanced technology, such as, high-speed PCs, computers, advanced consoles, super large television sets, and all that kind of stuff, and you're telling me you're still making these simple mistakes that a freaking 7-year-old can make. 4 discrepancies. I would have given it a much more lower rating, but luckily for me, it really wasn't that bad. I would give my schedule like I guess a 4 out of 5. The 4 mainly because they could have at least fixed some of these errors if they weren't so goddamn lazy, as well as at least getting my classes right. I didn't have to worry about like, oh, I have to change my class because one of them was actually wrong. I would have definitely gave it a much more lower rating if they fricked up my order of my schedule, as well as mistakenly misspelling my name, the name of the school, as well as the freaking classes themselves. Luckily, none of the students had that, obviously, but let's just face it. How can you make these mistakes this basic? Literally, what is this school run by? Freaking college kids that don't even know what they're doing? So that's basically my rant right there. Basically my first day of school in a freaking nutshell. I hope you enjoyed this little rant here. I'm a little worried that I might have woken up my freaking grandpa because I'm literally recording this at like 10:30 in the night. I've got school tomorrow. I usually stay up this late, so not a big deal. I don't care if I get 6 hours of sleep. I still work fine at school. You just when I go out of school, I get freaking tired. So that's basically my rant. I hope you enjoyed it. This was specifically made for my friend David. I hope you enjoyed it, man. And if you don't know what the frick I was making here in this video, well, where were you living in the frickin' rock? It's supposed to be an emblem of Eve trying to frickin' wash Wally. I saw this image at Google and I thought I might as well try to recreate it on frickin' Black Ops 3's emblem editor. It would have definitely looked a lot better and probably more detailed if I didn't reach the layer limit. I didn't really know what else to get rid of, so that's basically it. I'm not asking you guys to like it. It's up to you if you like it or not. I know David probably will like it in Black Ops 3, so go ahead and share this with your video or peers or something like that. As always, I hope you have a safe school year. I hope you be safe out there in the time we currently live in, and be careful. Make sure you stay clean. I don't want you to get COVID or monkeypox. I know that's slowly becoming a new fucking problem in the time where we live in frickin', I don't know, the times and times. I'm already losing my crap. So go ahead, have a good day, and be safe.